You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Well, just turn the calendar and you'll see more transfer portal news. And here on Thursday, comings and goings for LSU that we've learned. Tigers have added a punter. I'll tell you about him in just a quick second. And they see a quarterback exit stage left, entering the portal now for the second time in his career, which is where we'll start. So AJ Swann will enter the transfer portal. You know Swann's story here. So the game against Baylor will be his swan song. See, swan song, farewell. But it's a play on his name. It's a pun.
It's clever. I like it. I like puns. I do like puns too.
Good pun. So AJ Swann will stay with LSU for the bowl game, but he is entering the portal. Get that report from On3 with Hayes Fawcett. So, this probably shouldn't strike anyone as a surprise, considering LSU added Michael Van Buren. So what does this mean for the Tigers next year at quarterback? We'll delve into that. Just a really quick thumbnail on Swan for those that don't remember, aren't familiar. So Swan went to Vanderbilt in 2022, played 9 games, started 6 as a true freshman. As a sophomore in 2023, started 6 games, the first 5 of the season. They were very bad. He was benched. Then he started the season finale against Tennessee. Threw for a shade under 1,500 yards, 12 TDs, 7 interceptions. So a guy had played a good bit of football, 12 starts in 2 years, which is why it was really attractive bringing A.J. Swann in this season, knowing Garrett Nussmeier was going to be your starter, but without any type of experienced backup, you would have gone into this season with Nussmeier and then, of course, Ricky Collins, Colin Hurley, a redshirt freshman, and a true freshman early enrollee. So, or a reclassified true freshman who showed up on campus at 16 years old. You had to go add some experience, and you did that with A.J. Swann. A guy had started 12 games over 2 seasons. He's exactly what you wanted in a backup. He ended up playing in 2 games for LSU. He played a play against Florida when Nussmeier went out with injury, came right back in, and then played that's a couple series against Oklahoma when Nussmeier went out with what looked like that shoulder clavicle injury before coming back at the end of the first half. But we all saw how that went for A.J. Swann when he went in, and I think LSU realized that this was not someone that was going to be their quarterback of the future. So if Swann wanted to return as a backup again, sure, but they went out and added Michael Van Buren. They upgraded. It's one of the things whenever we talk about not only the quarterback position, but every position on the roster, you should always, always, always be looking to get better at every position. And it's the same way that we think about backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And I know we're starting to draw a lot of comparisons to the NFL, which I understand college and the NFL are not the same thing, but roster construction is starting to look like that. Because prior to NIL portal window, you sign high school quarterbacks, you develop them, you hope they continue to mature, and if you need a backup, it's generally going to be someone who hadn't played. Unless if you have a 2-quarterback type system. In the NFL, you always want a backup that has some game experience. I mean, Jameis Winston was the number 1 overall pick, who was a starter for half a decade in Tampa, came to New Orleans to back up Drew Brees. Say the same thing about Andy Dalton, who had been a starter. Just look at any NFL team when you look at backups. Generally, it's guys who have been starting quarterbacks somewhere because you want that experience. It's to say, if you have to go to your backup, you're not likely going to win anything of significance. But if something happens to your starter, can the backup keep the train on the tracks? Can he keep the wheels from falling off until the starter comes back? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did that in New Orleans years ago. So that's kind of the appeal. The Nick Foles, the backup's going to take you to the Super Bowl in Philly. That's the outlier. And again, we're talking about college now, but you're looking through the prism right now of what if Garrett Nussmeier twists an ankle, misses a week, misses a half. Can the backup come in and function? That's what you're looking for. But the double part of that, the other part of that conversation is you're also looking longer term as well. And if I asked you today, who would you rather replace Garrett Nussmeier, AJ Swann, or Michael Van Buren? I think we all know AJ Swann's an older player. He'll be going into his fourth year of college next season. But Van Buren very clearly has the higher ceiling, more athletic, more arm talent, all that sort of stuff. So it's the right decision. And AJ Swann, looking for a new destination, is probably the smart play. He'll probably go down in classification, go G5 or lower, and find a place to go be a starting quarterback somewhere to get on the field. And you wish him well in that endeavor. LSU's going to be better with Michael Van Buren. The tricky part of this, though, is this does leave you paper thin at quarterback because you've got Nussmeier, then you've got Michael Van Buren, who's going to be a rising sophomore, and then redshirt freshman Colin Hurley. You got to have four. You can't go into a season with just three scholarship quarterbacks, because you're always an injury away from being in a very precarious situation. And, unfortunately, you do see that. So you've got to be able to go get another quarterback. And I don't know what the appeal, that's going to be the really challenging thing for LSU, is what's going to be the appeal? It's going to be very hard to go find a proven quarterback who's going to want to sit behind Nussmeier and join a quarterback room that already has Michael Van Buren, who got a very handsome NIL package to come to LSU leaving Mississippi State with the idea of competing to be the starter in 2026. Why would another quarterback choose to join that room knowing they're sitting in 25 and then competing in 26? There's got to be more appealing spots where you can go play. Or you go after a high school quarterback, maybe if there are any that are unsigned, and you look toward the February signing date. That's probably not ideal. You could always look at the FCS ranks. We've seen that from LSU in the past, where they've got an FCS transfer who comes in, knows that they're a camp arm, most likely a warm body, but someone who wants the opportunity to wear those colors and run out of that tunnel and get that experience. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging to find another quarterback, but it's something that between now and the start of next season, LSU is going to have to do, because you cannot go into next year. Again, I'm not telling you they're going to add a superstar talent, but you have to have another capable body that can join that quarterback room, and that's going to be a tall task for Austin Thomas, Brian Kelly, and the staff here between now and the start of the 2025 season. You've got the February signing date, then you'll have the spring portal window to see what might shake and what opportunity might be out there. So AJ Swann enters the transfer portal. He's leaving LSU, but will play in the bowl game, which is significant, obviously. I mean, you need to have a backup quarterback should something happen to Garrett Nussmeier. So Swan will stay through the bowl game, but he's in the portal. So I'm certain that was mutually agreed upon. I can't imagine Brian Kelly has a problem understanding that you're not playing in a meaningful bowl game and you'd love to have a backup just in case, and understanding why AJ Swann's going to leave because you've already got Michael Van Buren on board. So that's that part of it. The Tigers did add a player via the transfer portal. They went and got a punter, and this isn't something that's going to steal headlines, but it's one that was a necessity. So Grant Chadwick was a true freshman this year at Middle Tennessee State, averaged better than 43 yards a kick. He boomed 13 of them more than 50 yards and had 21 punts down to inside the 20-yard line. For what it's worth, Blake Oxendorf and Peyton Todd, neither one of them ever solidified the job. Oxendorf averaged 40.2 yards per kick. Peyton Todd, 41.6. All season, LSU had one punt travel more than 50 yards. All season, one punt go beyond 50 yards. Chadwick had 13 of them. So a big-legged freshman who's got 3 years of eligibility remaining, was a Ray Guy Award watch lister this year, honorable mention All-Conference USA. Yes, an opportunity to get better. So we'll see what happens with Peyton Todd, with Blake Oxendorf. Hard to imagine one or both returns next season, but we'll keep an eye on that. But you brought in a guy who started this year in the Conference USA and had a very nice season and would seemingly be a talent upgrade at that spot where you could certainly use it because you were You were awful in net punting this year. So Grant Chadwick jumps aboard here as part of the LSU portal class for 2025. All right. One other note there is LSU still looking for a special teams coach. Remember, Slade Nagel had dual roles as your tight ends coach and your special teams coach. He's now the offensive coordinator at the University of Houston. Bob Diaco, who's an analyst, worked. I mean, when we got to watch practice in fall camp, we saw this plenty. I mean, Bob Diaco was running a lot of the special teams drills. So you still have Bob Diaco there helping, but you still have to add someone who's an on-field staffer with the title of a special teams coach, coordinator, whatever it may be. So when that happens, we'll pass it along. But an upgrade here with Grant Chadwick coming in from Middle Tennessee to be LSU's punter next year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.